Hi everybody. Today we are going to be talking about the importance of keeping a good perspective and practicing non-judgment while we work on our mindfulness goals. Non-judgment is a principle of mindfulness that focuses on the importance of not labeling things as good or bad. There are some things that we tend to label as good or bad and attach an emotion to that don't really need to have an emotion involved in it. So for example, as you're working on your mindfulness goal, there's going to be days when you don't fulfill your goal, or when you slip up, you don't do it as well as you would have hoped, because we're imperfect beings, and that's okay. But we have the tendency to label that as bad. I'm a bad person because I messed up on this. I'm bad at keeping my habit goal because I didn't do it today. And it's important that we really think about that. Now, what makes that bad? Is it that we didn't do it? Is that really negatively affecting our lives so much? Are we no longer going to be able to complete our goal because we missed one day or one step of our goal? No, of course not. It's not going to keep you from being successful in the future if you miss one day, as long as you get right back on track. But what could negatively affect you is if you start associating these bad emotions and these feelings of guilt with not doing as well as you would have hoped. Because then in turn that guilt can keep you from feeling motivated to try again, because you start associating yourself as somebody who is bad at keeping a habit, bad at fulfilling this certain goal. Now, this act of labeling things as good or bad happens all of the time. Our brains naturally label things as black or white. That person is a good person, this person is a bad person. And we really need to stop and think, why is it that I'm thinking that? And does that, my thought, really make it true? Are they actually a bad person because of what I'm thinking about them? No, of course not. And if you chose to think of something good about them, then it's possible you could start seeing that person as a good person. So there's a lot of things in life that maybe are trivial and don't make a huge difference in our day or in the long term in our life that we attach emotions to, and that really affects us. So for example, if you were late to work and you had to catch a bus and you ran to the bus stop, and just as you were getting there, the bus left. You might think, that was terrible, this is so bad, I'm going to be late for my meeting, this is a bad day. And you start getting really emotional about it, and that can affect your entire day, maybe even your entire week, depending on how much you allow yourself to put your thoughts and emotions into that situation. And it's really important to be able to step back during a time like that and practice non-judgment, which is saying that, yes, maybe that was an inconvenience, but is this really so terrible? Is this something my emotions need to be so connected to? Or can I take a step back and realize that if I choose to, I can keep this from affecting the rest of my day. I can choose to keep this from affecting the rest of my week by detaching my emotion from this and thinking, yes, of course, that was not ideal. We don't want to hide or conceal our emotions, but rather just acknowledge, yes, that was difficult, but I'm going to be okay, and it's not going to affect the rest of my week. So one way that you can practice having non-judgment in your thoughts is through a technique that was developed by Jon Kabat-Zinn, and he says that if you take even just 5 minutes to sit somewhere that's quiet in comfortable clothing where you won't be distracted, and just allow yourself to try and focus on the present moment, you'll find thoughts coming to your mind. And you can choose to detach emotion and detach the label of good or bad from those thoughts, and just imagine them as little bubbles. So imagine that you're sitting at the bottom of a pool, it's really still water, you can breathe, obviously, and you're just in the water, and these little thoughts, any thought that you have, will come up as a bubble, and you can just kind of watch it in your mind, go to the surface, and pop, and disappear. And the goal is to not let your mind wander at all. So you can have some sort of mantra. I'm thinking, I'm in the present moment, I'm only thinking of the now, something that will keep you centered. And it could also be something positive. So I would recommend thinking back to your I am statement. So if you say, I am a happy person who loves those around me, then you can just say that to yourself, and all you think about is the present moment and the person you're wanting to be. And you'll find it's very difficult to keep other thoughts from coming to your mind. Like, oh, I need to do the laundry, or oh, like I have this thing to do tomorrow, or this happened today and I want to think about that. But just for 5 minutes, allow yourself to only be in the present moment and let nothing else bother you. And any other thought that comes to mind, just imagine it as a little bubble. Detach the emotion from it. So if it's, I need to do laundry, it's not, oh my goodness, I'm so stressed, I have the laundry to do, and then this and this and this and this. It's just, oh yes, the laundry. And you can just think, and I am a happy person who loves those around me, and just think of the laundry just going up and pop, it's gone for those 5 minutes. And then you can get up and you can get done what you need to. But it's just so important to practice being able to be mindful and control your thoughts, even just for 5 minutes a day. So give that a shot and see how it goes for you. And be sure to email me about your experience and what you thought about it. And then also, one thing to note though is if it's really difficult for you, if you're having a really hard time focusing for that 5 minutes and there's something really urgent that keeps coming to your mind, you may need to pause and get that done and then come back to your mindfulness practice, and that's okay. So if you remember something that absolutely has to be done and you're in the middle of the mindfulness practice, then maybe just stop and get it done and then come back. Or if you're very hungry and it's keeping you from being able to focus or something like that, just be sure that you're in a space where you can be comfortable and really focus on that practice for just a little bit. And the last challenge that I will give on top of that is to think about how far you have come up to this point and be proud of yourself. Let yourself be proud for just a minute. We've been talking about not labeling things as good or bad, but that doesn't mean that there aren't good things that we can recognize, right? So if you have been doing well with your habit, if you've made any sort of progress or striving towards progress in any way, I want you to think about that and congratulate yourself. And go ahead and write it down. Maybe write 3 things that you feel like you've done really well so far, and take the time to be proud of yourself. Awesome. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk more on Monday.